Anybody there? Come on, post a message in chat. Let a guy know that there's a world out there. Sorry if I'm a minute or two late. Had to find glasses and shut my dog up. Who's there? Should have said hola. This is true. Hola amigos, ¿cómo estás? Okay, there are people out there. There's a world. Tina, cálmate, amiga mía. Tina, tranquilo. Shush, darling. Dog. How's the volume on the video? Can you see me? Can you hear me okay? First time doing this live. I don't know if the phone's up to it. I don't know if I'm up to it. What can I say? I know the microphone isn't up to it on this phone. If I take my hand away from the microphone, how's it now? You probably can't really hear me. In the past, I've had to put my hand behind the microphone like that, so you get a bit of extra. Okay, thank you, Steve. And Ned Dev skill? Did I read that right? I'm struggling. The screen isn't that bright, as I think I might have mentioned once or twice in the past. I have the brightness turned up full here, but Spanish sunlight is different to the rest of the world. Okay, folks, how's about we start by a few of you introducing yourselves? What country are we in? Where are we in the world? And what time is it where you are? How many of you are in Spain or the rest of Europe? How many are over in the States or Australia or somewhere exotic? Bulgaria, wow. Okay. Bulgaria and the UK. That's excellent so far. Any more out there? Come on, I can see that there are other people. Karen, hola. Angela in Canada. Hello, Angela. I feel like saying nice to meet you at last, but it's a one-way conversation, isn't it, a little bit? Wow. This is different. This is new, and I've got the glasses. I don't usually... Normally on video I'll take those off, but if you want me to actually be able to read anything, you're going to have to put up with the glasses, I'm afraid. I'm not as young as I used to be. Having said that, I never was. I was supposed to wear glasses from the age of 2, apparently. I remember having glasses as a kid, but they always seemed to end up under the grass cutter. When I take my shirt off or take my jumper off for football, you know, jumpers for goalposts. You remember that? And the glasses would come off with the jumper and get left on the field. And then when the council would come round to cut the grass, my glasses would get right royally chomped in the grass cutter. Mum used to go spare because back in the 70s this was, she was paying hundreds of pounds for my glasses. Back when hundreds of pounds was a lot of money. Not that it isn't now. But yeah, she'd go spare at me. She didn't like the John Lennon specs that you'd get for free on the NHS. So she would pay for some good looking glasses for me. And I'd invariably, like twice a year, they'd go under the grass cutter in the school field. It's funny. Well, it's funny to look back on. Poor woman having to put up with me. Okay, I see there are more of you out there. Come on, what country are we in and what time is it where you are? Join in the chat. Let me see you. Oh, you disappeared. You ran away rather than chatting. Oh, Harry and Jill, we met. I use your trolley all the time for getting the water. I went yesterday and did 2 journeys. So I fetched eight 8-litre bottles back, which is far more than I could have ever done without the trolleys. When I used to put the bottles in a shopping bag and carry them on my back, that would have been 4 trips, and that would have killed me. Like I said, I'm not as young as I used to be. Okay, folks. Like that's almost, if you watch a lot of my videos, okay, folks, it appears at the beginning, each clip when I start recording. Each clip when I start recording, I'll say, okay, you know, okay, folks, okay, folks. I've started editing them out, otherwise the video just becomes too repetitive with okay, folks. That and 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 because I'm no good at this, I'm still new at it. That and the dog barks that I have to edit out. Let me see if I can show her to you, because it's tradition. You gotta have tradition, folks. Can you see the lady? Maybe not, the brightness might be working against us. Tina girl! Hey! I've no idea whether you could see her or not. Oh, coming back in October. There's her ladyship, that's right, yeah, that's her. That's my girl. That's my girl. Okay, folks, we'll give it another couple of minutes to see if there's any stragglers, if there's anybody late coming in. I didn't really give this the build-up I could have, and I don't know, did anybody notice? Yesterday I published that there'd be this stream today, and I published a link, and then this morning I pressed the wrong button, and I went live with that link for about 10 seconds. Had to delete it, and then I had to create a whole new link. So anybody who pressed for a notification, yeah, she's still enjoying the pig bone. Yeah, she's eating that now. Because I'm not sure whether it's salted or not, but certainly it's dried to preserve it. She gets very thirsty afterwards, so I have to be careful. I have to limit how much of it she has in any one go. But she's now chewing mainly on the bone, so it's a little bit less of an issue. But I have to be careful about where I leave that on an evening. Have to be careful where I leave the bone, because a little rodent problem that disappeared in May has recurred. The little buggers are back. Well, the little ones and the big ones. So far, one mouse is dead, and there's been one of the bigger ones running around. Bugger tried getting in the tent, not last night, well he did, but only once last night. The night before, 10 times he tried getting in. 10. Every time I'd throw a light on, run out, chase him out. I got mouse traps and rat traps. He set them off twice, and there were hares in one, so he got almost caught, but not quite. And then yesterday he was a little less prolific. He only tried the once. Just after I'd nodded off asleep at about 2 in the morning, I heard this crunch, crunch, crunch. It was him kind of walking over some plastic bags, and chased him out. But it means I have to be careful where I leave the pig leg, because they do like that. We used to have a couple of them laying around here, and yeah, the mice and the rats made a beeline for those. So that's something we have to be careful with. Okay, we're coming up on 9 minutes. We'll give it 1 more minute for any latecomers, for any stragglers, and then we'll make a start on the questions. Now, bear in mind, I've got your questions stored on this phone, but I can't see them. I'm not sure what happens if I leave the YouTube app. I might end this stream. So I've got them kind of memorized as best I can, with the questions, but not necessarily who asked them. Somebody just mentioned cats. There are cats in this field periodically. I haven't seen when the mice and rats disappeared, some cats became visible, and I started hearing them at night. And then for the past couple of weeks I haven't heard any cats. And then the mice and rats reappeared. But yesterday there was a cat in the field again, and that coincided with the rat only coming around the once, not being persistent. So maybe there's a link there. Now, if I could find a way to leave some food out for the rats, but sorry, God, I said that wrong. If I can find a way to leave some food out for the cats, but not the rats, that would help. encourage the cats, but I accidentally left some food in Tina's bowl a few days ago, and we went for a walk, her nighttime walk. Hey, quiet. We went for Tina girl. We went for her nighttime walk, and when we got back, I saw this little figure scurrying away from her bowl. Well, not so little. One of the bigger ones. I don't like to say their names. But, yeah. Got to be careful. Unfortunate, this tent, with it having the separate bedroom compartment that fully zips up. Yeah, I can see your comments. Hey, Glenn. How are you doing, mate? I'm assuming it's Glenn. It could be Tina. Yeah, I think you share the account sometimes. Let me know. Is it Glenn or is it Tina? Come on, hurry up and type. Okay, I thought you shared his account. Okay, good to have you here. Like I said, it's just fun. It's like being with you guys in person. All right, let's make a start on the questions that I've got in my mind. You want to know who I am, what my background is, and what the hell I'm doing living in a field in Spain. Let me just grab a quick... I've only been talking for 10 minutes and already my mouth's dry. Quick sip of coffee. I did buy some alcohol, but I'm going to leave that for later in the chat. A guy walking past a few days ago gave me a few euros. And some other folk brought me some food, which was lovely. It's always nice when people help out. Okay, so where do we start? We don't want to go right back to childhood, do we? Let's just say born in Yorkshire in the north of England, but at the age of 15 crossed the Pennines to Lancashire. So up north, I'm a northern lad. Did a few things. Worked in London for a little while in my late teens, early 20s. Hopped about a bit. Yes, reading glasses, because otherwise I can't see. Hold on, I need to click. The chat disappears if you don't. I thought I could bring it back up. Oh, there we go. It keeps fading out on me. Yeah, I'm using reading glasses because I'm getting old. My eyes are not as good as they used to be, and if I want to keep up with you guys, I've no idea. If Anita was here, she could tell you, because I got these from someone else. I think they're fairly mild. They're fairly weak. If you went into the pound shop and picked them off the rack, I think they're the lowest strength, or one of the lowest. But yeah. I got you. I understood strength even without the vowels. All right, going back to me, because, you know, I'm like that. Me. Where'd I go? Went to university as a mature student when I was about 20. What was I been? 24, nearly 25. Went to university. Got myself a business degree. In my final year of a 4-year degree, they told me I could have skipped the first 2 years if they'd known about my background and my knowledge. So that was great, to find out that you've wasted 2 years that you needn't have wasted. So there I was, aged almost 30, graduating. I think it's 28, 29 and graduating. And going for job interviews and getting told by people that I was too old for a graduate position. And if you know a company in the UK called Saga that specialise in providing services for old people, they literally, I went through all the recruitment process. I got down to the last 2, and while I'm down to the last 2, I'm waiting on a phone call. So I'm left waiting over the weekend. Am I getting the job, am I not? If I get the job, I'll be having to sell a house and move with my wife down to, across the country, or down the length of the country, to a new town, and we're waiting on this call. And when the call comes in on the Monday, and not Monday morning, they wait till Monday afternoon just to string it out. Do you know what they told me? This is a company specialising in services for old people, and I was 28, 29, somewhere around there. They told me I was too old for the job, despite letting me get down to the last two. So I'm being considered for it all the way through, and then I'm turned down because I'm too old, from a company that are providing services for old folk, like old people travel insurance and health insurance and whatnot. You'd sue them for that nowadays. But yeah, that's just one of the little things that happen in life. But I got my degree anyway, and it did nothing for me. The university bastards. Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy, and they are bastards, and I agree. Wow, all of those things. You can imagine. I'm sat there, and based on the phone call that I was expecting initially, I was expecting this Friday afternoon to have the answer. And then they kept us stringing on and said Monday morning. So Monday I'm up at 7 in case the phone call comes in early. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. And they finally, oh, people like us, yeah, there or thereabouts, mate, yeah. Yeah. But I'm waiting on this call. And based on this call, I could be selling a house and me and my wife moving, you know, and to half the length of the country. Tina girl, Tina, hey babe, hey, come back. Tina, leave the people alone. She's trying to go and eat the neighbours. I don't know. Tina, come back. Dogs. Monstrua. Tu eres una monstrua. Yes, you're a monster. Tina, that's enough now. Stop. Come back. This is what I have to put up with. I edit these bits out of the normal videos. You only see her looking nice and friendly and chewing on bones and cuddling me and things. You don't get to see her actually eating the neighbours. Dogs. Where was I? Okay. So, the university claims to be top 3 in the world for business management. Shit. They use a league table that doesn't include Harvard and, you know, Dartmouth College and you know, the big American Ivy League and the Oxfords and the Cambridges. Never go old till you're in the grave. That's the best way. Yeah. You're as young as you feel. But I got my degree anyway, but then couldn't do anything with it. No one would employ me. Always down to the last 2 or 3. There was that the first 2 years of interviews and things, trying to get the job. That was tough because I was spending money going to the interviews. Train tickets are not cheap if you're travelling the length of the country. If you're going down to London and then out through the other end of London and onwards to other towns in the south, or if you're going anywhere in the southeast of England, you have to go down to London and then back out again. So yeah, it's expensive. And I was doing all that without any income. So my degree never really did anything for me. So eventually, I don't know when, years later, I started building computers for people and teaching people how to use computers in their own homes. Did that for a few years as a kind of a side hustle, a sideline. And then started doing websites while I was at uni, but I dropped it for a while. But then while repairing computers and building them for people, I then started doing websites for some of the businesses I was coming into contact with. Businesses and rugby clubs and hospices and things. And things just snowballed from there. I ended up starting a business specialising just in websites. Did that for a few years, and that grew and grew. I started using a what's called a content management system that lets you manage your website through your website. You click buttons and can create new pages and things, which nowadays that sounds run of the mill. But this was new back then. This was as the internet, as the World Wide Web was evolving, this was brand new. So I started using this system that was called Mambo, and I specialised in it and became quite good with it, and announced to the world that that's what I was going to do from now on. I was going to become full-time just doing that. And the day after I announced that I was going to do that full-time, I got 2 phone calls. One from an American company saying they wanted to buy half of my time. They made templates for this system that I specialised in, that helped you change the look of your whole website. You could push buttons and just change the whole website just like that. And they built these templates and sold them, and they wanted to hire me. Just whatever my hourly rate was, they would buy 50% of my time. And the other one that got in contact was a Japanese multinational electronics company. Well, the UK division of the Japanese electronics company. They'd tried to join in with the European arm of the company for a corporate intranet, and that had gone wrong. They'd blown their budget, and now they wanted to just make a UK corporate intranet, separate from the European site, but with what they considered to be no money, which I considered to be a hell of a lot of money. For a guy who'd just announced the day before that he was going to do this kind of full time, it was a hell of a contract to land. So things kind of grew from there. At that point, wow, we just glitched out. How much of that did you lose? I'll backtrack a little bit. Let me know that you're there. Let me know that you're still there. I got a message saying that the internet connection had dropped out. Ah, good. We're here. Okay. So, where was I? I was saying that I'd landed this big contract, and then I was going to expand. I went from being a sole trader to a limited company and started employing people. I got offices in the centre of the town I was living in, and yeah, city centre offices near the town hall, and go over the next few years, expanded till we were employing about 8 people, I think. How do you count? Because we'd always have a couple of people that would be part-time. So do you count them as half a person each, or I don't know. But we at any one time, we got to the point where we had up to 8 people if you count every individual. So yeah, and we did that for what? 7 or 8 years. And the focus of the business changed from just running these websites. We did a contracted service where we were, we would look after people's website. We didn't just build them or repair them, and we actually did kind of maintenance on them for a retained fee each month, which was the bulk of the money, to be fair. But it became kind of boring. You're dealing with people who don't know what a website is or how to run a website, but they're in a business, that they're the manager, say, of a department in a business, and this is one extra hat that they've got on, that's just landed on them. They know nothing about it, and they're just saying, hey, do this, hey, I need it to do that, and they've got zero understanding what they're asking for. And that's hard. When you're telling them a price and they're saying, hey, that's too much, or hey, I was looking to pay 1/10 of that. It's like, well, go away. So what happened over time was we started specialising in security. As websites got hacked and we'd have to clean, we'd get a lot of people come to us. It became a bit of a speciality. Anita, if you're watching and you don't know how to communicate live, there's a button down below the chat that looks like a speech bubble. Either click that or a text box. I think you can type in underneath the chat. Click there and that should allow you to type and join in the chat. Show the chat in the video. Tina girl, you've been annoying. You've been a very bad girl. Stop it. Where was that? Internet security. We got a reputation for when a website got hacked. For everyone would always say, hey, why don't you just go to your backup? You know, if you took a copy of your website last week and then you got hacked this week, people say, oh, the simple answer is just delete your website and rebuild it from the backup that you made last week. But the hackers were clever. They would get into a website, say a month before the hack became visible, and they'd be there making changes invisibly in the site and having backdoors in there. Then when it became visible, when it's a visible hack, they've already been in there. When you roll back to last week's backup, they're already in. So you delete your site, put the backup in place, their backdoor's hidden in there already. They just walk straight back in and redo the hack. So we became experts in cleaning out these systems. Like I said, Mambo it was called originally, and then an offshoot of that called Joomla, Joomla. And we were you know, well regarded within those communities for our abilities to de-hack and cleanse websites and secure them and harden them so they didn't get hacked again. So we more and more grew in that direction. And eventually we built a system that could detect a specific type of hack. We could scan the internet and find hacked websites. And we spent 9 months building a system to scan the web and find millions of hacked websites. And the idea was we would then approach the owners of those websites and say, hey, you don't know this yet, but your website's hacked. We can help you with that. And we like I said, we spent months building this system and spent tens of thousands. And what we found in the end was you couldn't approach people and tell them there's an invisible hack on their website that they can't see. What happened was their website would be listed in Google along with the term Viagra. So you'd find, let's say, a racetrack, horse racing. You'd find a racetrack and it would be listed as under Viagra in Google. You'd find a school and it would be listed along with Viagra, and it'd be in the top. If you typed Viagra, it would be in the top 10 results in the UK. And if you're a Catholic girls' school, that's probably not where you want to be. But think about it from their point of view. They get a phone call from a guy saying, hey, I was just on the internet and I noticed that your Catholic girls' school's listed for Viagra. And they're like, well, what are you doing searching Google for Catholic schoolgirls and Viagra? Yeah, you try that one. Explain that one. So we found quite a lot of famous sites and famous people with hacked websites, but we couldn't convert them into customers. We couldn't. We tried automating it, having emails go out to people when we found their site was hacked, but we got labelled as spam. So that was really frustrating, and in the end, we had to lay people off that we'd brought in just for that specific arm of the company, and that took a toll. That took a toll financially and morale-wise with the company. Around that time, my relationship with my wife deteriorated and we split up. And maybe a year or two after that, I came out here to Torrevieja. My in-laws, my wife's parents, had a place out here in the 90s, 97 I think, which was when I was doing my degree. I did we called them work placements back then. What do we call them now? Internship. Didn't have that word back then. I mean, the word existed, it just wasn't used in Britain to describe what's called a sandwich course, where you did a year of work sandwiched in the middle of your degree. I did a year in a management consultancy within customs and excise. And on my first day at Customs and Excise, my wife went out to Torrevieja with the in-laws for a week. Sorry, Anita, can't help you, darling. Contact me afterwards, and I'll try and show you. Oh, nearly knocked the phone off the stand there. But that was the first time that she'd gone out with the in-laws to this place, and a few months later I managed to get a few days and come out as well, and fell in love with the place. They weren't actually in Torrevieja, they were in the surrounding area, Casada, overlooking I think it's three golf courses from the top of a hill. Well, first they were in Villa Martin. But that was only for 6 months or so. Then they had their own place built off plan, and I just fell in love. I just fell in love with the whole area, and I've always liked being by the sea. In the UK, when I was a kid, my mum and dad would put a mattress in the back of a Ford Escort van. So that's one of the little vans. You know, I think you'd call it like a pallet wagon. A van that's just big enough to fit a pallet or two in the back. Well, they would, when me and my sister were kind of 3 and 5 or thereabouts, they would put a mattress in the back of the van on a Friday night. We'd get home from school and find that the van's packed, and that was it. We'd drive off to the seaside, to Bridlington or Filey, Whitby, Skegness, Cleethorpes, places on the east coast, and always loved the seaside. And then when I was in my teens, we jumped across from Yorkshire to Lancashire and lived on the coast. So I've always loved being at the seaside. So I came here. I wasn't going to name the town, but okay, there you go. Yeah, you're doxing me. So yeah, I moved out here. So I ran away from the seaside to live at the seaside. I'd split from my wife, I had money in the bank. I was thinking of buying a place out here. Don't worry about it. Thinking about buying a place out here, but it would have stretched my budget at the time. In the end, I just lived on the money that I had. Rather than, and here's where my troubles begin. Those early decisions when I moved out here. Now let me just take a break, take a drink, and then I'll tell you how it all went wrong. I'll be cracking the beer open soon. Where are we? Half an hour in. Okay. Tell me if you're bored. You know, don't want to bore you with these crappy details of my life. Tina girl, Tina girl, come back. There's nothing there. There's nobody there. Tina! Hey! There's nobody there. Oh, now there is. Oh, now I understand. Okay. Tina, no. Gonna have to go stop her chasing after this dog. Hey, babe. Tina girl. Come on back. Come on back. Yeah. Leave Bruno alone. No. Come here. Come with me. Come with me. Come on. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Shush. No. Oh, there's this one dog walks past every day. Well, the owners walk past with the dog every day. And she just goes ape. Tina just goes spare. One day, I've got her at the minute, she's tied to a log. It's, you know, a cut off, a big bit of wood. And the other day she ran after this other dog and she dragged this log. She almost knocked over my barbecue, disconnected it from the gas bottle. You know, no safety precautions, no proper flicking of switches and twisting of bits. She just yanked it and split the damn thing off and went chasing after this dog. death and destruction, or damage and destruction. Take your pick. I think messing with gas bottles comes under the heading of death and destruction. Are we still there? Everybody's still there? Let me know that we're all right. Hello. I'm not seeing anybody. Nobody's talking to me. Oh. All good. Okay, we're here. I got worried there. I thought maybe I'd got disconnected while I was chasing after the dog. Where was I? Somebody tell me what I was saying. The Alzheimer's is kicking in early. Wow, the wind's picking up. I lose track. Oh, where things were going wrong. Moving to Torrevieja, having money in the bank. Yeah. Okay. 2016, February. Does anybody remember 2016? A few things happened in 2016. Number one, everybody was dying. Does anybody remember this? All the celebrities died in 2016. Every time you turn the TV on, somebody else had died. But also, we had the Brexit vote was coming up. The American elections with Trump and Hillary was coming up. And more importantly, from my point of view, Spain had 3 general elections. Spanish politics were well, they're always mired in mess, and they are again now. But the world was so uncertain. So I moved out here and looked up what the rules were for kind of being a foreigner moving to Spain, and how you've got X number of months to register and do this, that and the other. And the world seemed like such bloody chaos. I thought, I'll just hold off for a while. I won't do all of that paperwork stuff. I'll just wait. If I walk in a month late and kind of do it, they'll slap my wrist and tell me I'm a naughty boy, but they'll be fine with it. That's what I told myself. And of course, procrastination's like that, isn't it? You start off putting it off for, you put it off for you know, until next week, until the week after, until next month. Next thing you know, it's kind of 4, 5, 6 years later and you still haven't done it. And that's basically me. I'm here in Spain, and now that Brexit's happened, and there, I mean, we had kind of 2 years of total bloody uncertainty about what the rules would be. In the end, they told you about a week beforehand what the rules were, and that you've now got to take action. And I already didn't have the original paperwork to go ahead and get in the system for whatever was coming. So I was kind of in limbo. Now, we get to 2020 and the virus of unspecified origin. And I was, at the time, I was living in an apartment with a guy, a friend. He owned an apartment, well, his family owned an apartment. And we were talking one day, and my lease on the building that I was in was coming to an end, so I was looking at my options. And he had an empty room, and he had an empty room and no money. I had money and needed somewhere to stay. So it seemed ideal. He had a dog, I had a dog, you know. And if you know anything about trying to rent property while you've got an animal, that's difficult. So it seemed ideal. So I moved in with the bloke in, what year would that have been? God. 2017? At the end of 2017, I think that was, I moved in. Now what I didn't know, yeah, how am I going to say this? What I didn't know was that the guy's a narcissist. And I'm not just calling him names, that's a diagnosis, that's real, that's official. That comes into play later. Anyway, So a couple of years after I've moved in with him, we're fine. We're good friends. We're going out for beers. It's all good. Lived together quite happily for nearly 3 years. The dogs got on great. He'd walk them in the morning, I'd walk them at night, save each other a job. But an actual outright psychiatric problem, I don't know how much to say and how much not to say. It's a fine line to tell the story, but to not be bitching about people too much. Anyway, COVID happens, and what happened at the same time, my bank cards were due to expire. My cash point cards, ATM cards, debit cards, due to expire. Now I had 2 bank accounts. I had the one that I always use, and I have one that before I moved to Spain, I moved a chunk of money across into. It was a brand new account. Opened a new account, moved money into it, and that's my rainy day fund. I'm never going to touch it except in an emergency. So it's there for me when I need it. So I've got this money set aside for emergencies. My bank card expires with my main bank, and I should have access to emergency cash. All good. Prior to my bank card expiring, obviously I realise it's going to expire, so every time I walk past the cash machine I'm taking out the maximum I'm allowed each time, which was really limited. I was limited to 300 euros. Everybody else in the world seems to be limited to 600 or 1,000. I could take out 300 at a time, and some other limit per week that I don't know. But anyway, that card expired, so I've got a lump of cash in my hand because there is money in the bank. I just don't have a card anymore, or didn't at that time. Anyway, this guy, he says something to me one day that this girl he's been chatting to online is going to come across from Sweden to Spain. And I thought, well, that'd be nice holiday for her. This is all he said. She's coming across. Okay. Yeah, she'll be here in a month. All right, yeah, no problem. I'll make myself scarce as much as possible, I'm thinking, It gets to like a week before she's due to come, and he says, Dean, you don't appear to be looking for anywhere new to live. And I'm like, what? He says, yeah, I told you, she's coming to live. I'm like, what the fuck? What? So basically, when he told me this the month or 2 months earlier, whenever it was, I'd interpreted it as, hey, she's coming over on holiday. He's never met her. He'd literally never met her. They've talked online, sent each other some naughty pictures, whatever. But they've never met. She's moving in. And he's miscommunicated it to me to the point where I hadn't realised what he was saying. He was wanting me to move out, but he hadn't told me he was wanting me to move out, or not as far as I knew or understood. So I've got a week to find somewhere new to live. And I've got a limited amount of cash in my hand because I don't have access to my bank anymore. And we're in the middle of COVID. So even going out and looking at properties and, was awkward. So with 1 week to find a place, he then puts me in touch with a guy to go and look at for me to go and look at a property. And this guy is a friend of his and turns out to be a total shark, trying to stitch me out with 6 months deposit plus 3 months rent. He basically wanted every penny I had put down and handed over to him without me knowing his identification and he showed me around a property that some people were supposedly living in, but they were going to move out soon. And this place was pristine. It was like a show home. There wasn't like you looked in the kitchen, there wasn't a bottle or a cup or a plate. There was nothing out of place. The place was like when you've tidied up to leave the house empty because you're not living there anymore, you're going home for 6 months, So you've left the place with nothing, everything's put away. But there's a family kind of sitting there, but looking like they don't belong, in a house that doesn't look like it's got anyone living in it. And he's trying to introduce them to me and tell me these are the owners, these are the people you'll be renting from. Weird. So that didn't happen. But bearing in mind I'm on this timeline, this was like 3 days before I had to move out. And in the end I found a place, and I got it all sorted on the day before, the night before I had to move out. Yeah. And it turns out as soon as I moved out, he started bad-mouthing me to everybody. Bearing in mind, so the position I was in, this bank card had run out, and I'm trying to get hold of my other bank to get access to this money. And what happened, it turned out, they've, because I've never taken any money out of this account, my rainy day fund, because it hasn't been touched for 3 or 4 years, they've closed the account. They've declared it dormant, like it's an abandoned account that's never used, and they've stolen the money and told me that I have to walk into a bank. I have to walk into not just a bank, I have to walk into my bank in England. Tina! Hey! Hey! Shush! Come here. Good girl. I have to walk into my bank in England, present proof of ID and be there, and then they'll open my account, reopen my account and let me have my money back. Here's the thing. Without money, how do I get back to England? How do I pay my rent? I rang them the day before I was due to be evicted, and I said, look, I know you've got your policies, but come on, work with me. Find me another procedure. Find me a way to do this. You know, I can do a Skype call. I can show you my passport. I can go to a solicitor or a notary and have somebody say, yes, yes, this is him, this is real. I can walk into a police station, have the policeman on a video call say, yes, yes, it's him. I said, give me a procedure, give me something. They said, leave it with us. I'll go and talk to the higher-ups. They left it 6 hours, and at the close of business on the day before I was due to be evicted, they said, sorry, no, it's too big a risk, we can't do any of that. Bye now. Good luck. So when they came around to evict me, I pretended not to be in, or I just kept the door locked and had the dog bark and just waited for them to go away. I managed a month in there, but my bank just wouldn't play ball. Oh, do you want to know the real kicker? The bank, Santander. Fucking Spanish name. Why can I not walk into a branch here and say, here I am, this is me, this is my passport? No. Gotta walk into, oh, the double kicker. The branch that I have to walk into back in England doesn't fucking exist. They closed it. So, one day the owner of the property turns up with a locksmith and starts drilling at the door. So I open the door because, you know, I don't want the guy to damage his property to get me out. I know that I was 3 months behind with the rent. They'd been harassing me from when I was 2 weeks behind. And they turned the electricity. I stayed in that place for 3 weeks with no electricity. Totally illegal eviction. You want to evict somebody, you have to go to court, get paperwork, give the person an opportunity to explain to the court that I'm a vulnerable person. I've got no money, or I do have money, I just don't have access to my money. I will make this right to you in the end. You know, you're supposed to have a procedure and have a chance to explain your point and why you shouldn't be just kicked out. But anyway, the guy gets, I open the door, he comes in, he brings 2 or 3 big friends with him, and they think they strong-armed me out of the house, but I wasn't going to I wasn't going to force an altercation. I know that I was behind with my rent. I think I would have won the altercation, but that's just me. I always fancy my odds. Yeah, we won't tell that story. We won't tell that story. Anyway, so there I am. The guy says, look, pick up what you can carry and go. And then contact the agency and arrange to come and get your things in due course. This would be in early April of last year. Now, if anybody remembers early April last year, I think the first week of April, it basically rained every day for 2 weeks, I think. Literally rained all day, every day for 2 weeks. And on this day, it was a rainy day. And I'm picking up my things and I've got to walk, I've just got to go, I've got to leave this house. Where do you go? What do you do? I thought I'd go back to my friend, you know, the guy who I'd lived with for 3 years. I know his girlfriend's there, and but you know, but it turns out actually she wasn't. They'd split up by this time. But on the way there, I was struggling to carry the things I had, so I stopped off at another friend on the way, and stopped and asked if I could have a coffee and just rest for a while and dry off and what have you. And then I rang from where I was. I rang my friend and he said no. Because friends, they do that, don't they? When you find out that your friend is now homeless and is carrying as many of his belongings as he can carry, and you're pretending to still live with your girlfriend who's actually split up from you already, but you want to keep the pretense going because you're a narcissist. So when your friend rings and says, hey mate, can I sleep on the couch? Can I just have a roof over my head? Can I have a toilet to use and somewhere with running water? You obviously say no, don't you? Because that's how people are. That's what happens after years of friendship. What I found out from there was that ever since I'd moved out, like a year earlier or however much earlier it had been, he's been running around telling kind of fantasy stories and joining in with people with rumours, telling them that there is no second bank account. And even though he stood over my shoulder one day while I did an online banking thing and logged into this rainy day fund once, a few years back, I'd logged into that and shown him that there was money there. He should have remembered it because I had a big surprise. I thought that there was an amount of money in there, and it turns out there was only half as much. I think because the amount of money I wanted to put in when I first set up the account, it was so much that I decided to do it in two lumps, and either I never did the second lump or something went wrong with the payment and it never arrived there. I don't know the details. I know that I got a surprise and kind of ranted about it to him and said, look at this, look, that amount there, that should be double. But he claims no recollection, no knowledge. So he joined in with the general conversation, the general rumours that went around that I'm a liar. Banks don't do that. Banks don't steal your money like that. There's no way they would do that. There's no way you've got money. You're just a liar. There is no second bank account. And so basically I kind of lost the friend group that I had. Acquaintances really, I guess. But anyway, so I'd arrived at this one lady's house, this one friend's house, and she said I could stay there for a few days. Another friend was about to rent an apartment for a month over here, so I moved in with him and we were going to split the bill, and assuming I got my bank thing sorted within the month, I'd pay him as soon as when I got my access to my money. He didn't realise that was never going to happen, neither did I. And after the month, he went back to Finland, and I contacted the friend that I'd stayed with for a few days and said, look, I'm in a hole, can you help me? And she did. And I moved in and I stayed there for 2 or 3 months. But eventually the friendship kind of broke down. You've got someone sleeping on your couch, they've got a dog with them, you're allergic to dogs. It's a tricky situation, isn't it? And I did things, with hindsight, I did things wrong. I had no money, so I thought, I can't go anywhere, I can't do anything. So I stayed in, I stayed kind of under her feet all day, I guess, which magnified in her eyes the amount to which I was a kind of a nuisance, the amount to which I was underfoot. I see why I did what I did. The idea that you've got no money, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything. Obviously, a year later of being out here with no money and getting by, I could have been going out each day. I could have gone out from dawn till dusk with a flask of coffee or a bottle of water or whatever, you know. I could have gone out and only been there morning and night, or you know, I could have been much less underfoot. So I did, I know I did that. I didn't realise it at the time, but I got that wrong. I strained the friendship and eventually broke the friendship, and she gave me notice that she was going to want me to leave in a couple of weeks, and when the time was up, she said, right, off you go. So one Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, Sunday, August the 14th, she opened the door, I walked down the steps, and that was me and Tina, again, with what I could carry, heading off. Where do you go? What would you do? Where would you go? Type in the chat. There you are now. Imagine you're where you are, but you're not allowed to live there anymore. You can't go inside. None of your friends are talking to you. Rumours are spreading around that you're some sort of liar about money and that you're really conning this person by staying in their house. Where do you go? What do you do? Come on, I'm not seeing any chats. Where are you going? You've got a bag on your shoulder, maybe 2 bags, 3 bags. You're carrying more than you've taken more than you can actually carry. You're not going to get far. Where do you go? What do you do? Walk off a cliff. I had no plan. Obviously, I'd been given warning. She told me that in 2 weeks' time, if you don't get things sorted, you got to go. So I'd had a little time to try and think of options, and I'd tried to imagine places. But around the corner from her, there's this park. It's 3 fields. One has a bar in that I used to drink in. That's where I know her from. And then there's a next park down, which has a lot of dogs walked in it. And then there's another park at the bottom, another field at the bottom. I headed for the middle park, purely because I had nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. I didn't have a cent on me, not a penny on me. I had 4 litres of water. A few electronic gadgets. I had my phone, a Kindle, and a Kindle Fire, Kindle tablet. No, I wasn't working in Spain. Because I'm here illegally, I don't want any extra legal problems. How old am I? 50, what year is it? I'm 54 at the minute. I'll be 55 later this year, if I've got my maths right. I never know how old I am. I have to work it out every time. Look at what year it is and subtract the year I was born and look at the difference. So we ended up in the park, and after 2 days of no food, a nice Irish lady who is an acquaintance of the person that I'd been staying with that's kicked me out, so she knew kind of some of the story. She asked me, you know, how I was doing. Was I all right? Did I have any money? Did I have food? Tina! When I said no, I got nothing, no money, no food. I'd managed to fill up my water bottles with in the night, sprinklers came on in the park. And one of the sprinklers was broken and just kind of gushed water. And I'd used the dog bowl to collect the water and then pour it into refill the 2 litre bottles. I had no idea where that water was coming from. I assumed it was coming from mains, from a tap. I was wrong. That water was unsafe, it turns out. Although it didn't do me any harm. I didn't have any consequences from it. But that's all I had. At this time when this lady spoke and she asked me how I was doing, there was her and another. I carried on speaking with this lady later, but the other lady who was with her, I never saw again, I don't think, or didn't recognise her. Tina! Oi! Quiet! Fucking dog. Sorry, I'm shouting. I hope I'm not deafening you. So anyway, this lady, she asked how I was doing and whether I had food, whether I had money. And when I said no, I got nothing, she reached in her pocket and she only had 15 euros on her, 15. And she gave me that 15. And the other lady asked her what was going on. And the next thing I know, the other lady handed me 20. So suddenly I had 35 euros and they told me to go and buy a nice breakfast. Now, if you've ever been down to your last few euros, and I was back there a couple of weeks, was it 2 weeks ago? If you've ever been down to your last money, and someone says, hey, go and buy one meal and spend 10 euros on it, or 10 pounds, or $10, you're not going to do that. They mean well. They want you to go and have a good filling meal. But you're not going to blow a third or a half of all the money you've got in the world on one meal. You go shopping. And you do the exercise that I did a couple of weeks ago. What would you buy with your last money in the world? It's a useful exercise. If you ask yourself, set a limit, pick your own number, 10, 15, 20, 30, 50 dollars, euros, pounds, whatever. What would you buy? And at this point I had no way of cooking anything. I'm living in the park. I didn't have anywhere where I could set up a fire or anything. So you stick to the basics. I bought a bottle of water. I think I bought a bottle of lemonade because that's dirt cheap. It's not called lemonade out here. I can't remember what it. Gaseosa. I bought a bottle of that because I figured I deserved a tasty treat after 2 or 3 days of not drinking anything. Maybe you missed, how did I end up illegally in Spain? Yeah, because I didn't do the documents thing. I hesitated. I procrastinated. I thought the world was uncertain in 2016. Brexit, Trump's election, Spain with 3 general elections. It all seemed uncertain as to what was going on. Can I get back to the UK? I now have I have a court case hanging over my head over something silly. I tried to leave the country last year, and it turns out there was a warrant for me because I'd missed a court date that I'd never been told about. Well, I knew there was things happening in the background, but I'd never been served a date and papers. So when I tried to leave the country, it was a surprise to me that, well, yeah, I got pulled at the airport. And there's another story, because they drive you off. You're in the airport on the outskirts of Alicante, and they drive you off to another city entirely, take you to the court, tell you you're going to be dealt with there and then so that you can get on your way, then tell you, oh no, you're going to have to go back to Torrevieja, but we're going to take you there today and you'll do the court case today. And then they say, oh no, it's going to take a few days. Go back home and the court will be in touch in a couple of days. And then they just dump you in this other city. And you got no money. You don't know where you are. I didn't even know what city I was in. I didn't know where I was. I didn't even know which way to get out of the bloody courthouse. They released me and said, right, off you go. And you're like, go where? Which way out? Where am I? What town am I in? Where is this? It's like you've just been kidnapped and then let go. I mean, in a way you have. So yeah, that was fun. Tina, stop it. Where was I? I've lost my train. Greetings from Poland. Wow. Hello, Poland. Can I get back to the UK? No, because I've still got this court case hanging over my head, and I've got no money, and my passport has been underwater twice. Tina, if you know anything about passport control people, passports that look like they've been messed with. Tina, come here. Come here. Come here. Come and be cuddled. Come for a cuddle. Come for a cuddle. You got to get closer. No? Bloody dog. Belgium. Hello, Belgium. So, court cases hanging over me. Passport that's damaged and probably needs to be replaced, and they cost a fortune, aren't they? I think they're the best part of £200. I was going to say euros, but it'll be pounds. And I've got no address for it to be delivered to. Some of the money that I've got in PayPal, I'm trying to buy something at the minute, and I'm trying to use the address, the man in the tent in this general area. The road hasn't even got a name, but the cove has. That's not going to work, but I'm trying. So the money in PayPal is useful. It pays for my phone bill, it pays for my data on the phone, but there's very few other places I can use it. A few years ago you could walk into shops and actually use PayPal in person, but whilst technically the technology exists, people seem to have backed away from it. In fact, many people in Europe don't even know what PayPal is. The Scandinavians in particular, I have to explain what PayPal is, because at the time PayPal was setting up, all the Scandinavian banks got together and formed their own equivalent, but official. Whereas PayPal's not a real bank, they had a system made by proper real banks, and so they, what do you call it, guys? Zipping or zapping or something like that, where you send money to each other. Come on, one of you will be able to tell me in the chat. Zip or zap or something. But you guys, so a lot of people over here don't even know what PayPal is. I spend a lot of time explaining it to people. What is a court case about if you feel like sharing? I feel like sharing, but I might weaken my defense if I... I was in a bar one night and I got thrown out of the bar. And then I hung around outside of the bar, and the people inside the bar couldn't work out why I hadn't gone home. Why is this drunk sticking around outside the bar? Well, when they threw me out, not all of my possessions came with me. You get that? I don't know how clearly she showed up. I went to the loo and I tied the dog to the railings. I was in an enclosed terrace, so in a beer garden type thing. I tied her up while I went to the loo. And when I came out of the loo, the manager decided to block the doorway of the toilet as I was coming out. I was about to smack him because I thought it was some kind of pervert. I thought I was about to be molested. But I didn't smack him. But I tried to go one way, and he went that way, and I tried to go there, and you know that, and I thought, oh, that's accidental, and I kind of laughed as if it was an accident. It turns out he was doing it deliberately. And he decided he wanted me to leave. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll just go get my things. And as he went and grabbed my arm, put it behind my back, marched me to the door, and then threw me down a slope from the bar. There's a slope, and he's got customers with tables at the bottom of the slope. He threw me into one of his customers' tables. Really, really hard. Really, it should have knocked every drink on the table over. But I used my incredible strength and balance to press down on the corner of the table. I hit it just right. I caught the corner of the table and pressed down at kind of a 45-degree angle. So all the force went into the table and the legs and into the ground, and shook the drinks but didn't knock anything over. But everyone at the table, they didn't know what was happening. They see me and think that they think I'm a drunk who staggered into their table. And then I hover outside the bar and I don't leave. Well, my dog's inside. How can I can't just go home and leave my dog. So the police arrive and I think, oh good, I'll just explain. Hey, get me my dog and I'll be on my way. The copper, he walks up to me, waves handcuffs in my face. And I say, whoa, that's not necessary. And before I finish saying, whoa, that's not necessary, in Spanish, no es necesario, he's got his baton up and extended and he's shaking it over my head, like tap tap, like indicating he's about to hit me. And again in Spanish, es un broma. It's a joke. No, you're joking. You're kidding. Then he hits me. Twice on the arm, twice on the leg. And then his mate comes around behind. As they approach, they split in two. One comes to your face and one works around behind you. Then they rugby tackle me and get me to the ground. The original charge, what I was arrested for, I have no idea. Nothing about it in the paperwork. I'm charged with assaulting a police officer and resisting arrest. Resisting what arrest? No idea. But this is what Spanish police, they're a little bit like that. They like to go hands-on. And you know it's illegal to record them. You cannot record Spanish policemen. Any of them, the different levels, Policía Local, Guardia Civil, Policía Nacional. It's illegal to record them. So they get away with it. And if you do record them, you find this during COVID, there were people beaten up by the police because they went to the shop and bought beer. I kid you not. Your essential shopping, they tried to dictate what was essential. Alicante police, not the city but the region, they tried to draw up a list of what you were allowed to buy before the central government told them to fuck off and that was ridiculous. But they beat up people who bought beer. And it was on YouTube. And do you know what they did? They didn't sack the policeman for beating up people for nothing. They found out, they could tell like what angle the video was taken at, from whose balcony it was at. And they went and they arrested the person who took the video and shared it online. That's the Spanish police for you. They're a bit grabby, they're a bit hands-on. So yeah, a series of unfortunate events. Somebody, it fades from screen. I don't know what. I can't even make it pop up. I don't actually even have the box for typing. Where do I type? The fuck? If I wanted to type here, I couldn't. I haven't got a box to type in. How weird. It's the first time I've used this obviously it's the first time I've live streamed. It's the first time I've used this app. There's an icon here on the bottom of the screen, 2 interlinked circles. I haven't got the foggiest what that does. I got no idea what that means. What happens if I press it? I won't. I've got 3 dots on the bottom of the screen. I don't know what that means. Oh, mute microphone, okay. How do I make that go away? Okay. Weird. A very crazy situation, Angela. Very crazy. So yeah. So this is what brings me to living in a field. So I was in the park, and I was there for 2 months or so. In fact, almost exactly 2 months. 4 days short of 2 months. Each day, in the morning, I would pile my things up under a tree, and I had a growing list of things because I would go out through the day. If you imagine, I started off with 2 picnic blankets. That was my bed. And then I found like a rubber, like a yoga mat. And that became the base for my bed. And then I found 4 towels. And I would put those, so I'd have one of my picnic blankets facing down with the rubber to the ground, and one with the rubber up to the sky. And then as it started to get cooler at the end of August, I'd put these towels inside the bed as kind of extra blankets, and one as a pillow. And then I found an actual pillow from a a swimming pool from the sunbeds, the lounges that you have around the swimming pools. So I've got this gathering pile of belongings, growing pile, and I leave them under a tree, and then I'd take off for the day, and then I'd come back late afternoon, and nobody ever touched my things apart from once when a dog got in and stole some food. Okay. And then one day, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the park, just starting to pack up my bedding, but workmen arrive, and they park a big lorry under the tree that I put my belongings under, and then they start chopping down all the bushes around it, and then they start trimming limbs off all of the trees around it, and they start pruning it all back. And I've snuck back under and put my things in there before they got to work, but now they're cutting branches down and they're landing all around my things. So I take off for the day because I can't just hang around. And when I come back at 3 in the afternoon, it takes me 2 hours to dig my things out from underneath all these branches. And they've cut away everything to such an extent that there's no way that I'm going to be able to leave my things there in future. So that's a clear signal that they want me to move on. I was there one day while a lady who lived nearby was making a phone call, obviously to the authorities, and from the way she was gesticulating and gesturing, it was obvious that it was about me, and that she wasn't happy that there was this guy in the park and that he had his things under a tree. This is why they've come and made it so that you can't have this little private area. So I spent the next 5 hours backwards and forwards. This was the only spot I could think of. This was the only other kind of free land that I could even think about. I had no real idea about it, except I knew it was here. Tina, go. Tina, stop. Tina, come here. So backwards and forwards, carrying all my belongings and bringing with me these bottles of water that I had, and all of my belongings, and after digging out all these trees, digging out my things from under the trees, I put my things down here, and I picked what I thought was a good spot, right here where my tent is now. You've seen this before. You know where my tent is. I don't know how well it'll show with the sun straight into the camera. But that was the actual spot I picked when I first arrived. Oh, let me square this back up. Now, I thought to myself, after all this hard work, I'll go for a walk, I'll have a little rest, clear my head, I'll go sit and look at the sea. And while I was out, these thunderclouds came from nowhere. And I found a big plastic sheet while I was out. Not like a tarpaulin, more like a big plastic bag that a fridge freezer would arrive in. I think it might have been from a fridge freezer, something that kind of size. And I'd picked that up on my travels, and then I saw the sky and I thought, yeah, that'll be handy. Big plastic bag that I can crawl into, because I didn't have any real waterproof coverage at this point. And before I got home, it started raining. Before I got back into this field where I'd just dropped off my belongings a few hours earlier, it started raining heavily. And I got back here, rolled out my bed, put this plastic cover over me and the dog, and we were it was like a transparent tent. We're sat in this transparent tent looking out at thunder and lightning and rain. And it rained and it rained, and it just didn't stop for about 2 hours. And all of a sudden, Tina, girl, come here. Tina, come here now. Good girl. All of a sudden, I was hit by kind of a mini wave. And I found I was laying in a river. It was only about ankle deep, 3-4 inches, 10 centimetres to you metric folk. I say 10 centimetres deep. Not incredibly deep, except when you're lying on the ground and all your belongings are on the ground, including all your electronics, your phone, your Kindle tablet, your Kindle book reader. your power banks, your thumb drives, all your cables. What else did I have? I can't even think what else I had. But everything. All your clothes and everything. It's all, and this is mucky, filthy kind of flood water. It's washed off the street. It's got dog muck in it. It's got soil in it. It's come across a field. Basically, it comes down 2 hills, and when it sweeps around following the road, well, the road sweeps around, the water doesn't. The water carries on a straight line and comes across this field. And the nice spot that I'd picked out was like a dry riverbed that the storm drains away through. So that was fun. And it was only 10 o'clock at night when the rain stopped. But I'm wet through. Tina's wet through. My bedding's wet through. And we got kind of 8, 10, 12 hours until morning. What do you do? Where do you go? How do you stay warm? How do you get dry? We cuddled on the wet mattress. You can still... What is she doing? Oi! More destruction. We cuddled all night long. We cuddled, laying on a wet mattress, in wet clothes, and wet bedding. Surprisingly, you can get quite warm, as long as it's not too cold outside. Yeah, I mean, you know, it was whatever month it was. It was October 10th. So it's not gone too cold yet. It wasn't too cold yet. That was later. But we cuddled until morning. And then at 7 o'clock, we got up and we walked and we went and we sat on the benches on the cliff tops that we like to sit on. And the wind blows and the sun comes up and we got dry. We took, because Tina carried, she did her share. We took the bedding, we took the 2 blankets. That was my priority. I'd laid out the mattress here so that it had a chance of being in the sun and had a chance of drying somewhat. But I knew it wouldn't dry in one day, not from being totally submerged. We took the 2 picnic blankets and maybe a towel or 2 and just get ourselves dry, get the bedding dry for that night, and the rest would have to take a 2nd or 3rd day to dry out. And that's what we did. We just coped. And that's what we're still doing to this day. Whenever we get wet, we hope that the next day is going to have sunshine. And 9 times out of 10 you do. You get sunshine and maybe a breeze. A good drying day. And we cope. We manage. And when a nice guy buys you a tent, and there's a storm coming that night, but you've got one day to take down your old shelter and put up your tent and move all your things into it, you do it. You get on with it. You get it done. You cope. And when 3 months later a storm comes along and splits your tent clean in half, cleaves a big hole in the entire length. I think I read last night that the tent's meant to be 5 meters long. That doesn't sound quite right. But end to end, split. What do? You cope. You manage. You do what you can. You put a tarpaulin or a ground sheet or whatever over the top. You make do. When it turns out you've not done good enough and that the water gets in, you wait till morning, you drag everything out, you dry off as best you can, you make do. You build a bed, if you've seen the latest video. You build a bed so that your mattresses aren't on the ground when the water pools. So yes, they're going to get wet, but no, they're not going to get as wet. You manage. You cope. You do the best you can. Because the alternative is that you don't. You don't manage. You don't survive. You don't keep going. That's not an option. You've got to keep going. You hold on till morning. 1 month after that first flood, we had our worst flood. the night, so that was October the 10th, that one. And the night of October 10th, morning November 11th, and it was the morning of the 11th. I knew that there was a bad weather coming, and I'd made a makeshift tent. I'd put a line across between a tree and a pole, and I had a small tarpaulin at this time, 3 meters by 2 meters, and I'd made a small tent just up and over the line, and it wasn't pinned with tent pegs, but bricks to anchor it out. Gina! Hey! I gotta go. She's pulling. Gina! For fuck's sake! Come here. Come here. Come here now. You're gonna have to come and take the wheel if you can't behave. Come on. Come with me. Buggles. Oh. Come here. Come here. Here you are. I'm back. So, November the 11th, I'm in a makeshift tent, and it was fantastic. It was wonderful. I managed to get me, the dog, on a lovely a mat, not a mattress, but a mat. We were cozy. We'd had torrential rain for well, all night. I mean, literally all night. A few little breaks, like 15 minutes of stopping. And then we got to about 5 in the morning. And I looked under the edge of this kind of tent. I looked out at the ground and I saw puddles joining together, aggregating quickly. And then I saw like a ripple move across it. And I jumped. I'm under a tent that's like 1 meter high, but I got squatting on my feet rather than laying on my back. And I was hit. I was hit by a wave from behind, and it felt to me like the wave was about 1 meter high. It felt the total height of the tent that I was in, and things that were with me, all of my belongings, were smacked, and heavy bags that I could only just pick up were 10 meters that way. And me and the dog, we had no idea, because everything was now underwater. Everything. Phones, tablets, everything. We didn't know what time it was. We lost track. And we waited. We're knee deep in water, and the water's dropping and dropping and dropping over the course of, say, an hour. And it got down to about ankle deep, and you're thinking it'll be gone soon, it'll be gone soon. Stinks, and all the leaves in the trees, all the leaves pick up and move and then drop down with the water. They're floating on top of the water, but they're like 1 inch or 2 inches deep on top, like a carpet of crappy leaves. And the water gets down to ankle deep and you think it'll be gone soon. And then we were hit with another wave of it. And we lost track of time because we couldn't even spot daylight because the clouds were so dark. And this is when we headed off to a friend, Anita. I didn't know where we were headed actually. We were just walking. We were just getting out of this field. We were just going. And as we're walking along, if you've seen videos of Spain when it rains and the roads become like paddling pools, the roads are all 3, 4, 5 inches deep in water, and cars are driving through and just splashing everybody. That was us as we're walking along, and people are looking at us like we're nutters for why are we even out in it. But being splashed by water and being hit by rain is, you're less wet than you are being knee deep in rain, well, knee deep in flood water. So that was us. That was our worst one. And I had a cup of coffee or two at Anita's. She gave me these glasses and some dry clothes, jog pants and a jumper and a thrower, like a blanket. And we waited until dinner time, lunchtime, and we walked back here, and then I began the process, just picking my things up, gathering everything together, putting things where they can dry out, where the breeze can get to them, just drying them out, coping. I knew nothing was going to be dry that night. But the next night, things could begin to be dry. So you begin the process. You begin the process. You cope, you manage, you do what you can. You do what you got to do. Because there's no alternative. And you cuddle your dog lots. Hey, babe. Okay, folks, anybody still out there, or have I bored you all to death? Ranting about coping. Anybody got any questions so far? I can't even see. There's no chat showing. I got nothing. Oh, look at that. There's a button there. You know, I just did that thing where I tried to show you the tent. I could have just clicked this button here. And that would have switched to the front-facing camera. And you could see the monster. Hey, babe. Come here. Sit down. Sit down. Say hello to the people. Tina? Here we go. There she is. And back. Nobody's talking to me. I've bored you all to death. You've all run away. Either that or YouTube stopped broadcasting half an hour ago and I didn't notice. Let me know if there's anybody out there. Nobody. We're an hour and a half in, folks. Are we carrying on? Or does everybody want to leave? Have you all learnt enough about this guy in the field? Anybody? Okay, it's the app. You were all typing "we're still here" and it wasn't even showing me the chat. Do I want to get back to the UK? Yes. I like Spain. I love Spain, but I've got no future here while I'm illegal. In fact, if I was to buy a plane ticket now and turn up at the airport, I would probably be arrested again. They would make me miss my flight while they took me into kind of immigration or border control. I would miss my flight while they questioned me about how long I've been here and whether I was avoiding tax and have I been working and all of those things. They would literally make me miss my flight. So what I want to do is contact them beforehand, proactively, sort out whatever the deal's going to be. Am I going to be banned from... Because I probably won't just be banned from Spain. I will be banned from the whole of the Schengen area as some kind of illegal immigrant. Chat's gone again. Sorry, I'm pushing the screen around, just trying to make it come back. UK consulates probably help with the passport, but they won't help me with money. They won't help me with... If you've ever watched documentaries about what UK embassies and consulates and things do, it's very minimal. It's very minimal. If you're in a position, if you've got the money and you're all set, they'll help you do procedures, but they don't help you get into the position where you can do these things. Getting a passport, I mean, if you've got the money, there's a shop in Quesada that will help you just do the... Because you can do it online now. You can just pay the shop to do it online for you. And they have an expedited postal system back to the UK passport office, passport agency, whatever they're called. So if you've got the money, you don't even need the consulates and embassies. And if you haven't got the money, the embassy won't help you anyway. So it's kind of a fuck you. Help yourself, get on with it and do it. Like I said, I've got a passport, but it's nice and wrinkly because it's been flooded, it's been underwater twice. And my understanding is that would be treated as highly, highly suspicious and would usually be rejected. Look it up. Look up kind of passport and wrinkled or passport and water damaged. They treat it as if it's some kind of fraudulent, as if it's a... What's the word I'm looking for? Like a fake passport. I've lost my vocabulary. Give me a second. I'm going to grab a can of beer, folks. If you've bought beer with you, now's the time. Mine's cooling in my larder down here. Hitting a go. It is actually cool. Not cold, because I can never make things cold. But you put in a wet towel and the evaporation does the cooling for you. And it is. But I need a bit of hydration because of the throat. You got to remember, I haven't really talked to anybody for, you know, a year. Well, longer, because I spent a year, when my money ran out, just after I'd moved, well, before I moved apartments. I spent 15 months in that apartment living on the money that I had in my pocket when I couldn't get to the bank, and then just living, I had some money in PayPal. Well, it was actually the company's money in PayPal. I will get in trouble for that. I spent some of the company's money because it was COVID, it was an emergency, I was stuck in a foreign country with no money. I figured that would be, whilst wrong, you know what I mean, exceptional circumstances, an exigency. So I'll have to pay that back once I do get access to my money. Here's the thing. There were some people here helped me way back. I don't want to say too much because they're close by, so I'm not going to identify them. But they started helping me, and they helped me in a really big way once upon a time. And then for a month or so afterwards, they'd come across on a Sunday and bring me not every Sunday, but every second or third Sunday, they'd come across and bring me a Sunday lunch. But then when I explained that, hey, I've got money in the bank, I just haven't got access to it, I think maybe I didn't communicate it properly, or maybe they just didn't hear the part about me not having access to it. So they heard that I had money in the bank, and then they wondered what they were doing helping this guy out. You know, why are they buying me things and bringing me things? I've tried to be honest with people and say, look, it's not that I haven't got money. It's just I haven't got access to money. And anybody who helps me who wants it back afterwards, I will repay everybody everything. Or if they say not to, I will pass it forward and pay it onwards in another way. Sorry, someone was just looking at me. They're wondering why there's a guy in a field talking to himself. What happened to the company? It got wound up by Her Majesty's, I was going to say Customs and Excise, because that's what it was called when I worked for them. Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, isn't it now? Is it Revenue and Customs? No, yeah, I think that's what it's called. The Inland Revenue and Customs and Excise merged. Revenue and Customs. It was involuntarily wound up as a non-trading entity because I was here and had no money and wasn't in a position to. We didn't put in company accounts. Even though the company wasn't trading, you still have to do the paperwork, and we didn't. Mainly because their website wouldn't let me log in. I couldn't log in and do like the VAT return. Even if it was a nil VAT return, their system wouldn't let me log in and do it. Tina just wouldn't let me log in, so I figured, hey, if the government aren't letting me, they don't want me to. But we'll see. Cheers, especially to you guys, the subscribers. I don't know if you've noticed, did you get a message? Only subscribers can send a message on the chat. Although anybody can subscribe, wait 5 minutes and then join in. So we might have gained a subscriber or two, I've no idea. I don't know how this works. If I leave this screen, I might lose the chat, lose the session altogether. So I'm a bit hesitant to actually click any buttons or do anything. You know, first time. Cheers, folks. You're probably all saying cheers back, and I've got nothing. Oh, waving my hand in front of the camera like a... I'm new at this. Okay? I'm a tramp. Oh, somebody said something that's getting held for review. I don't know where to go and do that. What does that say? Settings got it, but there's no message. It just says got it. Short message. Even working in Israel for years, or runs in Spain. Hold on, it's hidden it from me. Oh, why is it? Whoa, 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 whoa. So to summarise, you need the court case resolved, you need money for a flight ticket to UK and passport. How much, what needs to happen? Yeah. The court case is within about a month or so. Now, they're treating it quite seriously, as they do. Assaulting a police officer. I didn't. I honestly didn't. I didn't get a chance. I wanted to explain, and before I know what... Literally within 3 seconds... Well, they got out of the car and they walked over, and within 20 seconds of getting out of the car, he's holding his baton above my head and hitting me. And then I'm on the ground, but I'm resisting, because that's what they... I don't know why judges... Here's the thing, right? If you're a judge, or a magistrate, whatever you want to call them, and you're presented with a case where someone's been charged with resisting arrest, but there's no original charge to go with that arrest, like what was he arrested for, what was the initial crime, I would find that highly suspicious. If you're going to charge someone with resisting arrest, but you haven't charged them with whatever that arrestable offence was, suspicious as hell. But that judge works in the same room as that prosecutor, day in, day out, all day, every day. I bet they go for Christmas drinks together. Maybe a meal once or twice a month. That judge is my last line of defence against being treated harshly by the state. This carries up to 1 year in prison. Now, I don't expect it to be anything like that. I expect it to be a fine. First time offence, blah, blah. I want to put up a defence and say, you know, not guilty. But the odds of persuading a solicitor to actually go along with that, a lot of them are just, they want to put you on a conveyor belt and push you through the system. But even if I was given a fine, I haven't got access to my money to pay the fine, so then it'll become a small jail term, won't it? A month, a couple of weeks or a month or something in prison, maybe, because unable to pay the fine. I don't see the courts going out of the way to help me access my money. I don't see my bank going out of the way to help either, if contacted by a court or a judge or the police or a solicitor. Honestly, Santander, I am going to have such a fucking field day with them when this is all over. I am going to go to the press. I have a story to tell here. Telling my bank that I need access to my money, I'm going to be made homeless tomorrow, and then wasting the rest of that day, and then at the end of the day they say, no, sorry, we can't help. Goodbye, good luck, bye now. Fuck you, Santander. Sorry, I don't swear much. Well, maybe I do. That's very generous of you, but I mean, I would take you up on a loan for the ticket and passport, but yeah, the fine, that should be on me, shouldn't it? That's, you know, for whatever reason. And there's even the story itself of why I was asked to leave the bar is ridiculous, but there's 2 stories behind it. It's almost a comedy of errors. I'm going to have to look at some settings here and see if I can't stop this chat from fading away. There's no settings available to me right now. I'll have to look at this afterwards for next time. We'll do this again. But let me know how you're feeling. Are any of you bored? Are you needing to get away? We're coming up on 2 hours. Is this too much for anybody? I mean, I can sit here all day. I've got nowhere to be. I'm a tramp living in a field. You guys have got lives and wives and husbands and tea to make and I don't know, whatever. Have you learnt anything? Do you feel that you know me better now than you did before? Do you still respect me? I got an ex-wife. Well, we're not even divorced, but yeah, she's moved on. No kids. That was never on the cards for us. What's going on with this? Sorry, I literally can't see. I thought when you guys posted something new it would flash up, but then it flashes up and there's half a dozen messages that I haven't seen. Let me scroll back through. Confident we can cover it. That's very good of you. But yeah, in summary, those three problems. Court case resolved, flight, passport, and the little factor of kind of immigration or whatever they call themselves when you leave the country, border control. They're going to say, what are you, when I try and leave and they say we've no record of you entering, they would mess up my flight, wouldn't they? We've covered that one, Anita. Went to your house and got coffee and dry clothes and reading glasses. Yeah. Anita's contacting me directly. She's not in the chat because she can't find it and make it work. I think she's on an iPad. I don't know if that makes a difference. Any of you guys out there on an iPad specifically rather than just an Android phone or tablet? Oh, jabs is something as well because Tina's a couple of months behind with hers and we can't afford that. We have to go to the vets and get sorted with that. Yeah, how much should I say there? Technically, I think I've got enough in PayPal to cover that, but the vet won't take PayPal. Converting PayPal into real-world cash, that's an issue. Thank you, Angela. Haven't seen Piper. Angela and Piper are two of my regulars in the comment section. I think I didn't do a good job of. I should really have announced this a week in advance rather than just a day or two in advance. And then this morning, when I accidentally triggered the live stream that I'd set up, and so had to delete it and set a new one, I knew something would go wrong. How is Tina doing? Let's have a look. She's okay. She's over there. Look. Can I zoom? I zoomed too much. There she is. There's my girl. She's okay in and of herself. She's a monster. Let's put back. Click. There we go. I know you did, Angela. I remember. Now, here's a question for you guys. What the hell are you doing here? Why? You see, I obviously, as a new YouTuber, I'm reading articles about how to do YouTube and how to target my audience. And apparently, I have to provide knowledge. I should be, according to all of the articles, I should be imparting wisdom, teaching you something. But I got nothing to offer. I got nothing to teach anybody about anything. Is that noisy bike? So why are you here? Why are you following the exploits of a guy who got everything in life wrong? A guy who ended up living in a field because he didn't do his admin and didn't do his paperwork properly, and who got shafted by his bank. Cooking, Tina likes the you like. She's down as Glenn here. She's here for the cooking videos. Yeah, about that. No. Cooking. I'm no Delia Smith or Fanny Craddock. I'm not Nigella. I mean, it's different now that I've got the barbecue, the gas grill, because it's just like cooking on a cooker. It's like having a gas stove in a house, or an oven when I put the lid down. It's different. It's no longer kind of hobo style, is it? When I was cooking over a wooden fire on the floor here, trying not to be noticed by the police and the neighbours, that was making the most of what I have. Yeah, I'm a womble. I posted that one time. And those of you that aren't in the UK might not get the reference. You have to look up Wombles. W-O-M-B-L-E-S. Children's TV show, kind of puppet stop motion thing, about a bunch of animals that go out on the Wimbledon Common, a park in London, and they find the trash and make good use of things that the everyday folk leave behind, as the song goes. So yeah, I am a bit of a womble. I am making, and sometimes when I pick things up, I don't know what I'm going to use them for. I might have half an idea of what something could be used for, like those planks that I made the bed with. When I first found them, they were firewood. That was my idea. They were just a big lump of wood that I was going to break up and burn. But then I found I had enough wood for fire, and then I thought, well, I could make a bench. So it was going to be a workbench. But then I already had enough wood for a workbench, and then I made a bed inside my original shelter under the tarpaulins that I had. So yeah, when the two wooden chairs. Well, I'm not sat on one of them. Where are they? Oh, they're both over there. Let me show you these chairs. See those chairs? I couldn't believe that someone was throwing those out. They were sturdy, farmhouse kind of sturdy, good furniture, good and solid, but just next to a bin one night. And I left them initially because I figured somebody else would have better use for them, with them being in such good condition. But then we got to like 11 o'clock at night and the bin men were about to come around and take them. So I grabbed them. They're heavy, and the distance I had to carry them back, that was a struggle. But I brought them, and I didn't know, I mean, there's just me here, and I already had a plastic chair to sit on, so why did I want two chairs? Well, those bricks that I used when I made the bed in the latest video, instead of having 4 piles of bricks, initially, in the last shelter, I only had 2 piles of bricks, twice as high. And those chairs were at the other end. So I had a beam across the 2 piles of bricks, and a beam across the 2 chairs, and then the planks over those beams. So that was my bed. If you watch the video where I take the old shelter apart, I think it's called something like, it was his last day in the shelter and he didn't know it. Something like that. Or the original video, because I re-edited it once I got better at editing and what have you. The original video was called Wow, What an Eventful Day. That video has been watched by hundreds and hundreds of people, but on average you only watch 1 minute each. Yeah, I told you I got better at editing. Showing a part of my life. Yeah, no, there is that. I mean, I guess there's something there. Different compared to everyone else's. That's true. I'm certainly different. Showing my lifestyle to the world. Yeah. I don't even know how to say that. You're not Nedevskifon. Nedevskifon. Is that your name, or is that a nickname or a company name? I don't know what that. I'm not familiar with that as a name. Oh. And also, you guys, here I've got like your presentable names, you know, like real world names, whatever. But when I'm using the apps, normally, when I get alerts that someone's commented, I get your, you know, the underlying name, the @ and then the address. So whereas I'm down and out, who am I? Delta Mike down and out in Torrevieja. But I'm also at Delta Mike Torrevieja. That underlying kind of at name. I'm more used to seeing just your shorter at names. I get a weird mixture. Let's have a see here. How I manage to live. Yeah, you know, it's tricky sometimes living. But what's the alternative? You know? There's the way you live, and then there's the way you don't live. You know? One day I'll wake up dead. Hopefully it'll be in about 100 years' time. But there's one of my old rants, actually. There's a guy called Aubrey de Grey, and he theorises that the world's first 1,000-year-old person is alive today. But they're only like 3 or 4 years old. But by the time they get to be 60, we'll have the technology to extend their life by 20 or 30 years. And by the time that 20 or 30 years has passed, they'll be able to extend it by another 10 or 20 years. Until we reach a point where, you know, they'll have 10 years of life left, but in that 10 years, they'll add 100 years with some medical breakthrough or technology. Aubrey de Grey. I like science. I might have mentioned this once or twice. Maths as well. Yeah, mathematics and science. And space and all those good nerdy things. Not just sci-fi, but actual science. I'm holding my beer and I never get to drink it because I keep talking. How many of you are joining me in a beer or a wine now? I know you're in different, some of you are in different time zones. If you're in America and it's like dinner time or something, lunchtime, you're not going to be drinking, are you? But those of us on this side of the pond, it's a Sunday evening. I'm hoping that at least 1 or 2 of you are joining me in a glass. I got a hair in my mouth. Beards. There's one. Should I get rid of it? I mean, it fits the tramp image for the thumbnails. But I'm thinking, I've got a little bit of money available at the minute. I'm wondering whether I shouldn't go to the barber's and get a haircut and maybe have him whiz the beard off. How many of you saw the video of me aging, the rapid aging? Cheers, Anita. How many of you saw that video of the rapid aging, the picture of me from 3 or 4 years ago, or pictures of me from 3 or 4 years ago, versus pictures now? I mean, when I got arrested a few weeks ago, if you saw that, fucking Guardia Civil, I swore again, I'm not supposed to be swearing. But they did throw my things away and by the road, bastards. They didn't believe it was me. They had this picture of me from when I was arrested, which is it's 3 years ago in November, isn't it? 4 years ago in November. 2019 I was arrested. And it was in the middle of COVID. I was supposed to have the initial court case. And that obviously I turned up. Because even in the middle of COVID, I had a policeman knock on the door and give me paperwork and say, be at the court tomorrow. So obviously I went. And on the way there, I was stopped 3 times by police. What are you doing out of the house? What, you know, this is during lockdown. And I said, oh, I've got this paperwork. I've got to go to the court. He says, you're fool, there is no court. And they all said it. And I said, yeah, that's what I said. I said there was no court, but the man who came to my house was kind of almost threatening to beat me up if I didn't agree I was going to go to the courtroom tomorrow. So here I am. I get to the courtroom and the guy who's doing security on the door looks at me like, what are you doing here? And I said, well, this man was threatening to beat me up if I didn't come. So I said I'd come. He made a phone call and said, go away. I went away. They were supposed to reschedule the court case. I never got any dates or paperwork. Nothing. Till I was stopped at the airport. I thought that maybe, wishful thinking I know, but I thought maybe the backlog of cases over COVID over that year or two. I thought maybe they'd throw away silly little petty nothingness offence, you know. I'm not that lucky, am I? Never that lucky. Although I was lucky a couple of weeks ago. Did you see those 2 bags of booze that I found by the bin over there? Half a dozen bottles of wine, half a bottle of vodka, and some, what was it? Cointreau? I can't remember. What was the biscuity one? Was it not Armagnac? I can't remember what it was. Who saw that video? And look, there's no chat. Where are you? Red wine, Sunday is wine time. Well said. Lunchtime here. Remind me where here is, Angela. I know you did say at the beginning. I just got a memory of a goldfish. Lunchtime. Must be the States or Canada. One of the other. Tina! Hey! Hey, Tina. Tina girl. Quiet. Quiet. Hey! Oh, look, I bet people are answering and I've got nothing here, look. Amaretto, that's what it was, yeah. You got a better memory than me. When's your birthday, Mike? End of November. Oh, God, I should have done this disclosure at the start, shouldn't I? Please carry on calling me Mike. We should have covered the name and where it comes from. So, how many of you are familiar with the NATO phonetic alphabet? Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, X-Ray, Yankee, Zulu. Delta, D, Mike, M. So Mike's not my real name, but it's good enough. It's good enough. I like it. I picked it because when 2 ladies bought me the phone, Anita, who's texting me directly because she can't get the chat to work. When they bought me the phone, I had to sign up with Google, Gmail and all that, create a Google account to make the phone work. I couldn't access my old account. All of my old accounts, I used the password manager. Canada. Thank you, Angela. I'll remember that now. It's here now. I can come and cut your hair and beard for you. I need a week to wash it first because I haven't been looking after it. I need the first time I wash it, the soap and water won't even touch it. It's like it repels water, soap and water for the first couple of washes. I'll sort something. Send me an email. So yeah, Delta Mike is my initials, DM. But Mike's good enough. It's kind of handy that it worked that way. It's also, when you read about how to do this whole YouTube thing, or how to do any kind of public performance, have you heard me? If you hear stories about Beyonce, she has this character in her head called Sasha Fierce. It's like her alter ego it's a persona that she inhabits when she goes on stage. It's a little bit the same for me when I imagine doing this. Delta Mike is a projection, a character. It's probably not the right word. An alter ego. So Mike works, it's just not real. It's just not real. But it's real enough. It works. It's like a nickname now. So it's like a term of endearment. I like it. So keep using it. We're all good folks. Oh, that's interesting. I'm not actually anywhere near the camera there. But I guess the camera doesn't look straight. It looks inwards and downwards. I'm just trying to make the fucking chat appear. So yeah, when's my birthday? End of November. I'll just scroll back. I've probably missed stuff. So there's no. Oh yeah, that's. Did we get any? No, I don't want to risk coming out of the app. I'm just looking at something else. Oh yeah, it's telling me that I'm going live 2 hours ago. Yeah. Now here's the thing that happened last night. Somebody asked in oh, which message was it? Was it the building a bed video? Somebody said, hey, you obviously just need a new tent. How much is a new tent? Oh gosh. And then people started taking it upon themselves to start chipping in what I would consider quite significant amounts of money towards a new tent. And there's one person out there who's previously sent me money 3 different occasions, and then yesterday sent me a good lump. I don't know how I feel about that, guys. 5 euros, 10 euros, 20, yeah, but I don't know. Appreciate any help and all help, and the PayPal account's there. It's linked in most videos in the description. I realise a lot of people don't know how to use YouTube properly and don't know how to get to the description. Basically, if you click under the video, you click the name of the video, or to the right it says more. You click anywhere there and you get a page of information pop up. Sometimes just a little summary and the word more again, and you have to expand it. There's details in there of email address for me and PayPal donate details and things. But my expectation's the wrong word. Like I said, 5 euros, 10 euros, $5, $10, maybe 20 at a push. But don't start throwing 50s and 100s and things around, because that makes me feel like a beggar, or a grifter, as the common term in internet parlance. I mean, if I'm providing any kind of entertainment's the wrong word, education, I don't know. I appreciate any help. You see my situation, but in general, day-to-day living, I don't need much. 5 or 10 euros a week is more than enough most weeks, barring major, tent ripping in half or getting arrested or whatever. But I don't know how I feel about people deciding that, hey, the way to go is a new tent, and then they'll start throwing 50 euros in the pot. I don't know. What do you guys think? Message retracted, not. Okay. I thought you'd been caught in some kind of filter, but it looks like you've deleted one yourself. So those are my thoughts, guys. I don't want to be accused of being some kind of e-beggar. On the flip side, I need money because life. It's a tricky balancing act. It's a tricky line to walk. Hey Tina. Oh, you gotta look at her. She's so cute. Sometimes she's just lovely. And other times she's just a fucking monster. Look at her. I'm gonna clip that later. Maybe if I could enlarge it and just get her to fill. Whoa. Oh, don't start licking your ass. There she is, that's my girl. There she is. Alright. Oh, you see more of me there than you want. That's Anita telling me to get a shave. Is chat frozen or is nobody saying anything? Oh yeah, oh yeah. This is my friend Tina, listed here as Glenn. My friend Tina talking about my dog Tina. She definitely kept me going. Oh yeah, I mean that last winter, I think I've tried talking about this a few times on video and I can never express this properly. After those 2 floods, when all my electronics stopped working, my phone broke, all the power banks broke, my Kindle book reader stopped working, my Kindle tablet stopped working, my Kindle Fire tablet stopped working. See, I'm technology, because I worked with computers. I mean, if my laptop had been working when I was asked to leave the friend's house, I would have had my laptop with me, but that was already broken, so I didn't have that with me. But that would have got flooded and broken as well. Everything would have gone. Everything broke. No lights, no watch, no radios, no. I had nothing. I didn't know what time of day it was most of the time. I had nothing to read. Not even books. Not paper books, because flood water. It doesn't. Books don't survive flood water very well. And we had all winter. Until somewhere between Christmas and New Year, I found a clock in a bin. And then I found a battery a couple of days later. No, I had batteries, but my batteries were the AAAs, the little ones. And the clock wanted double A's, the bigger. And a AAA plus 3 1-cent coins almost fits properly, but not quite. So I'd do this thing where I would wedge them in and the clock would work. And then I'd have to go and walk to a pharmacy to find, they have the clocks outside the pharmacy. I'd go to the pharmacy, get the time, come back, set the clock properly, and be careful because this battery's only just wedged in. And after a day and a half, the battery would pop out. And if I was around, like if I noticed and I'd looked at the clock, say half an hour ago, I could gauge what time it should be when I put the battery back in and set the clock again. But if it happens in the middle of the night, or when I haven't looked at the clock for 2 or 3 hours and I've got no clue what time it is, off to the pharmacy again and come back. And it was winter, and it goes dark at like 6 o'clock, 6:30, somewhere around there. And you've got all night. No lights. So even when I went out and I'd go around bins and look for books or magazines or newspapers, and even if I find them, I can't read them at night because I had no lights. And eventually I found 3 little solar lights. Give me a second. Look like this. I found 3 of these in a bin one day. So I put them out through the day, and they charge a little battery in here. Charge a little battery, and then the light would come on automatically at night. There's no on-off switch, it's just on. And with all 3 of them, I could just about read a book, or just about read a newspaper or a book at night. But over time, they've stopped working. They've fallen apart. But my friend Damien bought me a light a couple of months ago now. But it eats through batteries. So what I'm looking for is some kind of rechargeable, something that will charge from USB, AA batteries. And I found some on AliExpress. Is that what it's called? I've never used it before. But I found some and I put the order in. And what I didn't see until after I'd confirmed the order is that they're not going to arrive until November. Bastard. Chinese. Yeah. I'm wanting to see chat and there's nothing coming up. There we go. She's definitely kept you going, mate. Okay. Agata, Agata. I don't know how to say it, but have a good week. Bye for now. How many gigabytes of data do I use a month? I purchase, hold on, I purchase 40 and it comes with 40 extra for free. And I don't get through them. They're now backing up, they're now, because if you saw the video a while ago, I tried stepping down. Instead of buying 40 plus 40, instead of buying the 80, I had 20 left. So I thought if I could step down to the one that's 20 plus 20, so 40 in total, together with the 20 I had left, that's supposed to roll over, I thought that would be enough. But they conned me. It didn't roll over. So I was left with only 40, and that wasn't enough. That only lasted 3 weeks. So I used about 60, but I'm purchasing 80. So they're just going to accrue. And I can't skip. If I don't purchase, I can't use the roll. They'll lapse. They go away. So yeah, I'm doing all right though. I mean, considering that I'm doing YouTube videos and I've started putting them up at, if I say higher quality, don't misinterpret it. What about the clock on your phone? Well, this is it. I didn't have a phone back then. My phone was bust. It was months later that 2 ladies, Anita and Tina, put together, and 2 Swedish ladies, bought me the phone. And that was just before, I think that was about April. It might have been March, but I think it was April. So just before the storms in May, which was the beginning of the YouTube channel, I'd been mulling the idea of a YouTube for a while, but obviously without a phone, none of that worked. So yeah, I had no clock, I had nothing, didn't know the time of day, anything. So it was only having Tina really that last winter, I mean for heat through winter as well, because whilst, I mean it's Spain, it's never truly cold, except for when you're living in a field and it's 4 degrees. And even when it wasn't 4 degrees, when it was only 10 degrees, that would feel cold. And the nights would be wet. The moisture, because the days are warm, you know, even in winter, you can sit out and sunbathe all winter long through the day. You just get fewer hours. So December, January, February, you can still sunbathe, as long as it's not raining that day. But then when it gets to night and it gets cooler, all the moisture condenses out of the air and everything's wet through. And it was January before I had any kind of tarpaulin and or shelter. I had a smaller tarp that just big enough to cover a bed, and that's what we used through winter until early January. And we would, even then, I would get up in the morning and have to go to the top of the cliffs and dry my bedding. Even though it had been under the tarpaulin, those 2 picnic blankets with the rubber, one side rubber or plastic and one side blankety. I'm sure that's not a word, blankety. Neologism alert. Delta Mike's inventing new words again. Had to stop myself saying my real name there. Almost doxed myself. Yeah, no, winter. But we got to the point where once I did have a tarpaulin and I built a shelter, 6 broom handles, six mop handles, and a tarpaulin. That's all you need. If you've got some big branches that you can bend over and form an arch, that helps. I did that later on. But it's going to drop to 4 degrees in February. So then you have to reinvent the hot water bottle. A couple of pop bottles, 2 litre pop bottles filled with boiling hot water. Put the lid on tight, put them inside a cushion cover, zip it up, and then put that in your bed about an hour before you get in. And honestly, they opened some emergency shelters in town for people Oh, I keep putting my fingers in front of the screen trying to get this chat to show. 4 candles, yeah. 2 Ronnies. You've thrown me now. 2 Ronnies comedy sketch. Where was it? Hot water bottles. Even though it was 4 degrees and they're opening emergency shelters for the homeless in town, we didn't need them. I've no idea what the policy would be with dogs once I got there, so that would probably be annoying. I don't even know whereabouts this emergency shelter would be, and we didn't fucking need it. I was literally too hot on these nights. You put 4 litres of boiling hot water in your bed, make sure that it's not going to spill out, and wrap it in something to insulate it so you're not burning yourself by touching the bottle. But you'll be way too hot. 4 litres of hot water there's a lot of heat stored in there, and if you slow down the release of it by wrapping it in the cushion cover and zipping it up, so the heat's going to come out slowly. You wrap it in a towel as well, and if you want that, then that would work. But you slow down the rate it gives off heat, so the bottle itself is still warm the next morning. Not hot, but warm. 7 o'clock in the morning, you can still cuddle it and be warm. And I've got a dog to cuddle as well, which helps. Hey babe, that's my girl. Daddy loves his girl. Yeah, he does. Oh, look at that, I'm putting my hand right in front of it. Got to go. Is that you, Mark, yeah? Going back to the UK? I'm an inspiration, I wouldn't go that far. Inspiration. Yeah. Okay, mate. Catch you later. It's been 2.5 hours anyway. The rest of you will be wanting to go soon. What are we thinking? Call it quits on 2.5 hours. Give it another 6-7 minutes, and then we'll call it quits. Unless anybody says otherwise. Oh, Jeff's here as well. Okay. Is he in the chat as well? Are you both watching, or? Tina, what are you doing? You're still tied to your tree trunk, darling. It'd have to be a damn big suitcase. Mind you, I'm not as big as I used to be. In my head, I'm still this fat guy that I was before. We covered this. I did a video with this. I didn't do a video specifically on it, but I was 100 kilos. Was my typical weight. What's that? 220 pounds. I'm not sure. 16 or 17 stone in old money. I basically lost 1/3 of my body weight. And the majority of it would have been in that first 2 months when I was in the park. I didn't realise it, but living in the park was killing me. I had such willpower, I was eating 4 slices of bread a day with chocolate, either with chocolate spread or mortadella, the cheap processed sausage thing. Mayonnaise as a spread, because butter and margarine don't last. Mayonnaise lasts forever. Mayonnaise just doesn't go off. You don't need a fridge, you don't need anything. You can leave it in a field at fucking 50 degrees, leave it in a tent at 50 degrees. It doesn't go off. Not the factory made stuff. If you made it yourself, just whisking eggs and oil, that'd probably go off. Shop bought stuff never goes off. Sliced bread from a supermarket doesn't go off. Literally, doesn't go off. I've maybe had 2 go mouldy, 2 fractions of a loaf in a year living rough. And sometimes I'll buy it and leave it forget about it because I've got other stuff to eat. And I come back to it and it's still fine. A week, 2 weeks. I've eaten bread that's a fucking month old. And it's not stored in a fridge. It's not stored in a fridge. Some foods, you got to wonder if nothing in nature will eat this stuff. If the bacteria aren't getting at it and the moulds, if they're not having it, it can't be good, can it? Okay, Mark. Cheers, mate. Bye for now. Oh, I'm reporting someone by accident. Get off. Oh, Angela's got to go as well. We're all going. 5 more minutes and we're off. I'm just going to finish this beer. Should just about finish. I got more down here though, because I thought I would be drinking more, but I'm talking too much. Throat's a little bit dry. I'll need the beer later to loosen the larynx. Mind you, it's going dark around me as well. It'll be dark soon. But this hasn't gone too bad, has it? I hope I haven't bored anybody too much. Maybe do another one in a week. Just a shorter one. Maybe an hour or so. You've always talked a lot. Cheers, Tina. Which bar are we drinking in nowadays? Are we still in the Owl's Nest or do we go elsewhere? And does Mr. Fury ever pop by? Tyson, is he ever around? Nobody's talking now. I don't even know how to end this chat in 3 minutes when the time's up. I assume I click this little X here. I don't know if there'll be a confirmation or not, or if that'll be straight off. But yeah, I'll leave this chat up. I don't think I've said anything too embarrassing. I don't think there's anything here that that I'm not happy to go public. So we'll. I noticed there's only 9 likes so far. I know it says there's only 8 people here, but there'll be different people in and out. If you haven't booped the like button, if you could do that on the way out. And if there's anybody out there that hasn't subscribed, think about it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just click the subscribe button. At least think about it. Consider it. If you've watched more than 2 of my videos and you're still here, then obviously you're interested. No idea why. I honestly don't know why. The subscriber count's not really been going up recently. In fact, did anybody notice it went down? It got to 228, and then I put out, I think it was the first video about the storm, and it dropped to 227 and to 226. And it's only the last day or two that it started to pick up again. So I guess nobody was interested in the storm videos. But when I did the cookery video, that seems to go, and then the making the bed video, that seems to have brought a few people in. Oh look, now we're all starting to hit the like button. I see the count going up. There'll be a few more of you out there that haven't clicked it. Okay, we got just over a minute left. Anybody got any last minute questions, suggestions? Oh, hold on. Horizon Taps. Is that the little one that used to be the near the level crossing? Oh no, Torrevieja. No, I don't know that one. Is it a microbrewery? Along from the George and Dragon. Yeah, okay. Don't know it. I didn't know there was another bar anywhere down there. Except for the Jubilee Club around the corner. Steve, you'll get me a couple hundred what? Subscribers? Oh, Angela, she didn't have to leave. She's fed the dog. Give him a chew. Do you know what? I haven't... Mine's got... Oh, she's got her leg, hasn't she? She's got a bone over there. I was just thinking I haven't given her a treat. I haven't even got one in my pocket. I've got some plastic bag or other in my pocket, though, because she heard that and she's looking at me intently now. Every time she hears any kind of rustling plastic, she assumes it's for her. Well, I'd appreciate that, Steve, yeah. Tell me how. You got a big channel. I do. People who have channels who subscribe, I get an email telling me about you, well, pointing to them, unless they've set their privacy options or whatever. But yeah, people who have channels and followers, I do get some kind of notification usually. But yeah, anything to get the word out there. Obviously, you know, don't force anybody, but yeah. Barbers in Torrevieja. I don't even know where Barbers. Is it Turkish? Indian takeaway. I bet that wasn't there when I was. There were two. There was a Chinese and a fish and chips. Tina. Everything's changed back home. Tina girl. Hey. Oi. Oi. Stop it. I'll be anyone in headphones will be getting deafened by me shouting. Oh, I missed the 2:30. I missed it. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it quits there. If anybody wants to carry on chatting with me, there's email. If you're already in touch with me by other means, feel free to ping me. I'm not doing anything tonight that I know of, except drinking a couple of cans of beer that I've got left over. I bought them especially for this. And then I've sat here and only drunk one. I impress myself sometimes. I impress myself that I've actually got the money to be buying them. Hey. Tramps and alcohol. I don't know. Okay, guys. That's a lot. That's a lot. We'll do the same again, same time next week, unless anybody's got a suggestion for a different time. Contact me. Watch my videos. Tell everybody all about me. Tell Santander where to go. Bastards. Okay. Delta Mike, out.